Okay, welcome to this. This is going to be very basic guide procedure, I should say, to setting up your Megadrum with your pads and cymbals. Now, there's an awful lot of features in here, so don't be overwhelmed with them. But there are a couple that you really need to get right before you start fiddling with the other ones, if you get my drift. Now I'm going to be using Megadrum Manager so you can see what I'm doing. Secondly, it's a lot easier to work with this than it is Megadrum, because you've got to scroll through the screen there. And thirdly, you can save these the settings and share them with other people as well. So download this. It only runs on Java. It's quite straightforward, much easier to work with. Okay, so let's communicate with our Megadrum then. What I suggest you do is put your set up your drums first, plug them all into your Megadrum, turn your Megadrum on, and then turn Megadrum Manager on, and you should end up with two green lights like that. That means it's good to go. Okay, so that's that up and running. Now the first place I would go to is here. Set your inputs. I've only got a single. This is just a demonstration. I've only got a single zone pad plugged in. That's it. So I'm going to go with 18. Only you will be able to decide how many inputs you're using. So that's one for you to work out. But you should be just over all the inputs you're using. It'll give you more configurations here once you've got it set up correctly. Right, now what I'm going to suggest you do, and these are only my recommendations, it just keeps things simple, is disable everything. So we'll set this to 0, tick those two, and then do a copy, 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 and that disables all the remaining channels up to 18 for the time being, and then we'll introduce them one at a time. As we go along, then you can see if there's any problems arise, you'll be able to see where they are to start with. Okay, so let's give us a note then. So we'll go with 36. We've got a channel 10. Now the first one I want to point to is threshold. It's quite an important one. It's the low value of velocity on your stick. Now the figure itself doesn't really matter. They'll all be different for different types of drums. What I want to point out was, if you've got it at 0, what you will find is that you will get triggering, which you don't want. So move that up, and it's stopped now. Mine's stopped at 6, but you want to be way above that. You want to be about, I'm going to go with about 23. It should be fine for usage. You can always adjust that later to suit. Now you may well have noticed there I pressed the send button. There's quite a few of these send buttons around. You don't always have to press that. I've just got in the habit of doing it. A lot of the stuff updates immediately, especially if you use the arrows. So that's just something to be aware of. So that's the bottom end sorted out. At the top end, this is the procedure. Tick the high level auto, put this around about 64, doesn't really matter too much, quite low, and do a send. Then take your pad and start hitting that as hard as you think you're going to hit it, okay, in normal playing style. So that information's on Megadrum, we need to get that back, so I'm going to do a get, and you'll see there, and it's gone to 446. Now that figure itself, it doesn't really matter. It might be 200, it might be 900. It doesn't really matter what it is. So just be honest with how hard you hit. There's no point setting it at 1,000. necessarily. So untick your high level auto because we've finished that now. That's finished with, and do a send. Okay, and that's it. So that's your top and bottom values worked out. So what Megadrum will do is take the distance between these two numbers and divide that between 0 and a 127 on the velocity scale. So that's that. So that's all you need to do. All the rest of the stuff is just tweaking. That should be enough to keep you going there. So then just go through the next pad, set your note. If it's a similar sort of pad, you can probably use the same threshold. The high level will be roughly the same as well, but I would recommend going through each one to do that. And that should get you up and running. There are a lot of features in here. Don't be put off by them all. You won't even need a lot of them. The reason they're there is so that Megadrum is designed so it will take any sort of, it will take Roland pads, Yamaha pads, anybody's pads really, all of which output different signals, and it can cope with all of them. So there's no compatibility issues with that one. So hopefully that's been useful. Yeah, and if there's any problems, give me a shout. Thank you.